Canada isn't supposed to look like this. Tents stretching across sidewalks, families sleeping in cars, entire neighborhoods quietly slipping out of sight. And the most shocking part? This isn't happening in struggling towns. It's happening in some of the richest cities in the country. In this video, we're counting down 10 Canadian cities where homelessness and slum-like conditions have grown at an alarming pace. Stay tuned, because number 1 has one of the worst per capita crises in Canada, and almost nobody talks about it. If this video matters, like it, share it, and subscribe, because this is Canada Now. Number 10. Regina, Saskatchewan. At first glance, Regina doesn't look like a city in crisis. It's quiet, spread out, and far from Canada's most expensive housing markets. But beneath that calm surface is a growing housing breakdown that doesn't get much national attention. Regina has a population of about 240,000 people, spread across roughly 70 square miles, giving it a density of around 3,400 people per square mile. Recent point-in-time counts estimate between 900 and 1,200 people without stable housing on any given night, a sharp increase compared to pre-2020 levels. Regina experiences long winters with frequent stretches below 20 degrees Celsius, and annual snowfall averages over 120 centimeters. Cold weather increases emergency shelter demand, especially overnight, but it's not what creates homelessness here. It simply makes the consequences more dangerous when housing fails. The local economy is anchored by government services, agriculture, and energy-related industries. The unemployment rate typically sits around 5 to 6%, which sounds stable. However, wage growth has lagged behind inflation since 2021, meaning more working residents are spending a larger share of income on housing and utilities. The median home price is still relatively modest at around $310,000, but rents have risen faster than incomes. Vacancy rates have hovered below 4%, leaving very little room for people facing eviction or sudden income loss. Emergency shelters regularly operate near capacity during winter months. Regina offers short commutes, lower congestion, and strong community programs. For many, it's still an affordable place to own a home. Housing may look affordable on paper, but when rentals are scarce and incomes fall behind, even smaller cities can push people out fast. Number 9. St. John's, Newfoundland, in Labrador. St. John's is known for colorful row houses, ocean views, and a strong sense of community. But behind that image is a housing strain that's quietly intensified over the last few years. The city has a population of about 110,000 people, spread across roughly 175 square miles, making it far less dense than most major cities. Even so, recent estimates suggest between 700 and 1,000 people are experiencing homelessness or unstable housing, a significant number for a city this size. St. John's sees some of the highest snowfall totals in Canada, averaging over 330 centimeters per year, combined with strong winds and damp conditions. While weather doesn't cause homelessness, it increases health risks and makes temporary shelter far less viable during long winters. The local economy relies heavily on public sector employment, healthcare, education, and offshore energy. Unemployment rates have consistently been above the national average, often sitting near 7%, with youth unemployment even higher. Job opportunities exist, but they are uneven and often seasonal. Median home prices remain lower than national averages at around $300,000, yet much of the housing stock is aging. Rental availability is tight, with vacancy rates often near 3%, leaving limited options for people exiting shelters or temporary arrangements. Crime rates are relatively low, and community support networks are strong. Cultural identity and quality of life keep many residents rooted. When jobs fluctuate and rental options are limited, even modest housing costs can become a barrier that's hard to recover from. Number 8. Winnipeg, Manitoba. Winnipeg is often described as one of Canada's last affordable big cities, but affordability doesn't mean accessibility, and in recent years, the gap between the two has become impossible to ignore. Winnipeg has a population of around 835,000 people, 2023, spread across roughly 180 square miles, resulting in a density of about 4,600 people per square mile. Recent counts estimate more than 3,000 people experiencing homelessness on a given night, with numbers trending upwards since 2020. Winnipeg regularly experiences winter temperatures below -25 degrees Celsius, with annual snowfall averaging over 110 centimeters. These conditions dramatically increase health risks for anyone without stable shelter and put heavy pressure on warming centers and emergency services during cold snaps. The city's economy is built around manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, and public administration. The unemployment rate typically sits near 5.5%, but many jobs fall in lower-wage service categories. Median household incomes have risen slowly, while housing and utility costs have climbed much faster. Winnipeg's median home price remains relatively low at around $380,000, but rental demand has surged. Vacancy rates have dropped to around 2 to 3%, leaving little margin for people facing eviction or family breakdown. Older inner-city housing stock also contributes to overcrowding and deteriorating living conditions. Winnipeg offers a strong art scene, major festivals, and a central location with short commutes. For many residents, it still feels livable compared to larger metros. Low prices don't help if income instability and tight rental supply leave no room for recovery when life goes sideways. Number 7. Hamilton, Ontario. Hamilton was once seen as a pressure valve for Toronto, a place people could escape high prices and still stay connected to big city jobs. That valve has now been pushed to its limit. Hamilton's population sits at roughly 570,000 people, covering about 440 square miles, with a density of around 1,300 people per square mile. Recent estimates suggest between 3,500 and 4,000 people are experiencing homelessness or severe housing instability across the city. Hamilton has a relatively moderate climate, with average winter temperatures hovering around -5 degrees and annual snowfall near 120 centimeters. Weather plays a role in shelter demand, but doesn't explain the scale of the crisis. The city's economy includes healthcare, education, manufacturing, and logistics. Unemployment generally stays near 5%, but wage growth has not kept pace with housing inflation, especially since 2021. Many residents work full-time, yet struggle to secure stable housing. The median home price has climbed to around $760,000, more than doubling over the past decade. Rental vacancy rates have fallen below 2%, making competition fierce and pushing rents higher. Shelter systems regularly report capacity strain. Hamilton offers waterfront access, escarpment trails, and proximity to Toronto. Transit connections keep it attractive for commuters. What was once an affordable alternative has become another stop in the housing pressure pipeline. Number 6. Edmonton, Alberta. Edmonton is often framed as a city of opportunity, cheaper housing than most large metros, and steady job creation. But that reputation hides a growing homelessness problem driven by volatility rather than permanent poverty. Edmonton has a population of about 1.1 million people, spread across roughly 265 square miles, resulting in a density of around 4,100 people per square mile. Recent counts estimate more than 4,000 people experiencing homelessness on a given night, a number that has climbed notably since 2020. Winters in Edmonton are long and severe, with average January temperatures near -10 degrees Celsius and regular cold snaps below -25 degrees Celsius. Annual snowfall averages over 120 centimeters. These conditions sharply increase demand for emergency shelters and warming spaces, especially during economic downturns. The local economy is closely tied to energy, construction, logistics, and public services. Unemployment rates fluctuate more than the national average, often swinging between 5 and 7%, depending on energy markets. During downturns, job losses tend to hit renters first, increasing housing insecurity even among previously stable households. Edmonton's median home price sits at around $430,000, lower than most large Canadian cities. However, rental demand has surged as population growth accelerated. Vacancy rates have dropped toward 3%, limiting options for people leaving shelters or temporary housing. Utility and heating costs also add pressure during winter months. The city offers extensive green space, a large river valley, and relatively short commute times. Lower taxes and housing prices still attract newcomers. When employment shifts quickly and rental supply stays tight, housing stability can disappear faster than people expect. Number 5. Calgary, Alberta. Calgary's skyline reflects growth, investment, and ambition, but behind that image is one of the fastest-growing homelessness populations in the country. Calgary's population has reached around 1.6 million people, spread across approximately 320 square miles, giving it a density of about 5,000 people per square mile. Recent estimates place the unhoused population at between 4,500 and 5,000 people, with numbers rising rapidly since 2021. Calgary's winters are cold but variable, with average January temperatures near -7 degrees Celsius. Chinook winds can bring sudden warming, but cold snaps below -20 degrees Celsius still occur regularly, increasing shelter demand during winter months. The city's economy is driven by energy, finance, professional services, and a growing tech sector. While job growth has been strong, income inequality has widened. Unemployment generally ranges between 4.5% and 6%, but housing costs have risen faster than wages for many renters. The median home price has climbed to around $600,000, up sharply in just a few years. Rental vacancy rates have fallen below 2%, among the lowest in Canada. This tight market leaves little buffer for residents facing layoffs, illness, or family separation. Calgary offers proximity to the Rocky Mountains, a young workforce, and expanding transit infrastructure. Quality of life remains high for those securely housed. Rapid growth without matching housing supply has turned opportunity into instability for many residents. Number 4. Montreal, Quebec. For decades, Montreal was known as Canada's affordable big city, a place where renters could still breathe. That reputation is now colliding with reality as homelessness grows faster than the city's housing supply. Montreal's metro population sits at around 4.3 million people, with the city itself covering roughly 166 square miles and a density of about 8,500 people per square mile. Recent estimates indicate approximately 10,000 people are experiencing homelessness or unstable housing across the city, a sharp increase compared to pre-2020 levels.
Montreal winters are long and cold, with average January temperatures near 9 degrees Celsius and annual snowfall exceeding 200 centimeters. Cold weather increases emergency shelter use and health risks, especially for people sleeping outdoors or in overcrowded conditions. The city's economy is driven by education, healthcare, technology, tourism, and creative industries. Unemployment typically ranges between 5% and 6%, but many jobs are part-time or contract-based. Wage growth has not kept pace with rising rents, particularly for younger workers and newcomers. The median home price has climbed to around $550,000, while average rents have increased rapidly over the past few years. Vacancy rates have tightened to near 2%, leaving limited options for people exiting shelters. Older apartment buildings and overcrowding have become more common as renters compete for fewer units. Montreal remains culturally rich, walkable, and transit-oriented. Food, arts, and public spaces continue to attract residents from across Canada. When disaffordability disappears in a city built on renting, displacement accelerates quickly. Number 3. Vancouver, British Columbia. Vancouver is one of the most desirable cities in the world and one of the clearest examples of how extreme housing costs can overwhelm an entire population.
The city of Vancouver has a population of about 675,000 people packed into just 44 square miles, creating a density of over 15,000 people per square mile. Current estimates place the unhoused population at more than 11,000 people across the region, one of the highest concentrations in Canada. Vancouver's mild winters average around 4 degrees Celsius with little snow. While this climate does not cause homelessness, it makes long-term outdoor survival more physically possible, contributing to visible encampments year-round. The local economy includes tourism, film, port logistics, construction, and technology. Unemployment often remains near 5%, but wages have failed to keep up with housing inflation. Many full-time workers spend well over 40% of income on rent alone. The median home price has hovered near $1.2 million, while rental vacancy rates remain below 1%. Limited land, strict zoning, and high demand have created one of the tightest housing markets in North America, leaving almost no margin for financial shock. Natural beauty, access to the ocean and mountains, and a strong job market continue to draw newcomers. Even above-average incomes struggle to survive in a city where housing costs dominate every financial decision. The Greater Toronto Area is home to about 6.7 million people, while the city itself covers roughly 243 square miles, with a density of around 11,000 people per square mile. Recent estimates suggest between 12,000 and 15,000 people are experiencing homelessness or severe housing instability on any given night, the highest absolute number in Canada. Toronto's winters regularly drop below -10 degrees Celsius, with annual snowfall averaging around 120 centimeters. Cold weather increases shelter demand sharply during winter months, stretching an already overburdened system. Toronto's economy is anchored by finance, technology, healthcare, construction, and services. Unemployment typically ranges between 5 and 6%, but housing insecurity is no longer limited to the jobless. A growing share of unhoused residents are employed, working in retail, food service, cleaning, and transportation roles that keep the city functioning. The median home price remains near $1.1 million, while average rents have climbed to levels that often consume 40 to 50% of a renter's income. Vacancy rates remain well below 2%, leaving little room for people facing eviction, illness, or job disruption. Shelter occupancy frequently exceeds capacity, forcing reliance on temporary hotel programs. Toronto offers unmatched job access, transit, education, and cultural diversity. For those who can secure housing, opportunity is everywhere. When working full-time no longer guarantees a place to live, stability becomes fragile, even in Canada's richest city. Number 1. Victoria, British Columbia. Victoria often surprises people. It's small, clean, and scenic, yet it has one of the most severe homelessness crises per capita in the entire country. Victoria has a population of just about 92,000 people, packed into roughly 7.5 square miles, creating a density of over 12,000 people per square mile. Despite its size, recent estimates suggest between 1,500 and 2,000 people are experiencing homelessness or unstable housing, one of the highest rates per capita in Canada. Victoria's mild winters average around 5 degrees Celsius with minimal snowfall. While climate does not cause homelessness, it lowers survival barriers, allowing outdoor encampments to persist year-round and making the crisis more visible. The local economy is driven by government services, healthcare, tourism, and retail. Unemployment typically sits near 4 to 5%, but many jobs are lower wage or seasonal. Income growth has fallen far behind housing costs. The median home price has climbed around $900,000, while rental vacancy rates remain near or below 1%. Limited land, strict zoning, and high demand have created extreme competition for housing. Shelter capacity is small relative to need, forcing many into tents or temporary arrangements. Victoria offers walkability, safety,
ocean views in one of the mildest climates in Canada. When a small city runs out of housing, there's nowhere else to go, and the impact shows up fast. When you look across all 10 cities, one pattern becomes impossible to ignore. This isn't about weather or individual failure or a single bad decision. It's about housing costs rising faster than incomes, rental supply falling behind population growth, and a system with almost no room for error. These cities aren't collapsing, they're quietly pushing people out. If this video made you stop and think, like it, share it, and subscribe. More people need to see what's happening, because this is Canada now.